What's up, everyone? It's another Wednesday, another live stream. Give everyone a moment to jump in here. As usual, like what I say, the first 2 or 5 minutes, if you're watching on replay, is us just kind of get up and running. So if you want to skip ahead 2 or 5 minutes and check out the start of the interview there, you can. Just give me a second. I get everyone in here and get going. Angel, thank you for joining. Let's see here, get set up. One moment, please. Kate and those guys, what's up? Glad you can jump in and check this out. Just so you all know, we had a country / grunge band last week. We have a hip hop artist this week. So basically, this whole show is just about covering as much as we can of the Lehigh Valley and beyond scene. But yeah, so it'd be cool if you guys want to jump on. No problem if you don't, though. And yeah. So we appreciate you jumping on and giving us a watch here. Let's get Dom in here. There's Dom. Get him on the stream. Cool, there he is. So, man, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey.
Do you say 610 or 610?
610.
All right,
610.
cool.
What do you say? 610?
It depends. I don't know. I lived in Philly for a long time, so they say 215. I never, it's all.
Yeah,
it's all different.
People always ask me that question. That's a big question, actually.
Yeah, cool. All right, we'll just give a couple minutes here. I'll read something off the top quick, and then we can get started.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Kate and those guys says happy to be here. Cool. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Yes. So usually it goes out to everyone. They'll see that you're streaming, and then we can get started here.
Get the notifications going.
Oh yeah, that's a big part of it.
How's your night going?
Thanks for asking, man. So far, so good. Now that work's over.
Yeah, for sure.
That was the hard part.
Oh yeah, man.
So this is the fun part.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's just get started, and people will jump in. Deviant Saints, thanks for jumping on. I haven't talked to you guys for a little bit, but yeah, but maybe we can get you on here at some point too. All right, I'm just going to start with a little something off the top, and then we'll get right into it.
Okay.
All right, hello, and welcome to the Bellwether Ritual live stream, where we discuss music, local Lehigh Valley, PA scene, bands, social media, and more. Today is Wednesday, September 27th. My name is Mike, and I am the vocalist / guitarist of Bellwether Ritual. I hope you had a good week. Our next show is going to be a Halloween show at the Flying V, which is going to be cool. We're working on costumes and all that fun stuff. So that's in Bethlehem, PA. It's a Saturday, so come dressed up. We'll do a bunch of fun stuff. What else do we have going on? We're going to be going into recording mode soon, so we'll have 2 more shows this year, and then we'll be buckling down to record like a 4-song demo, which is cool. Tonight, our guest is Obscurity610, aka Dominick Hall. Dom is a rapper, our first hip-hop artist on the show, which is awesome, producer, engineer, and music video director from Allentown, PA, with a penchant for aggressive yet melodic production. I want to talk to him about that for sure. He's been continually releasing singles and projects since 2014, which is awesome as well. Just a lot of history there, and I'd be interested to hear how he's kind of changed over the years. We'll talk about all that and more. Dom, welcome to the stream. How you doing tonight, man?
Oh, we're good, man. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate your
absolutely
time.
Yeah, and if you see anyone that you know or have any questions, just feel free to shout them out as we go.
Yeah.
Justin, thank you for joining.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah. I have to admit, I need glasses really bad, so if I struggle with your handles.
Yeah, you're good. Mustardless Tiger, thanks for joining.
Yep. Gumaba, thanks for joining. Brian Wagner, thanks for joining again. We appreciate you. Looking at your pictures a lot lately, so we always appreciate you coming out. Let's see here. All right, so let's just start right off the top. I know some of these answers already, but just for everyone else, anything. Actually, before we get started, anything you
Yeah.
want to plug right off the top, like
Uh,
shows or yeah.
I have my first solo show November 21st at the Allentown Brewworks. It's my first one ever, and it's just gonna be me. And it's like 2 hours like from doors till music. So I'm just hanging around with everybody. Want to get to know everybody coming out. It's gonna be awesome, man. And it's mainly me rehearsing for the 610 Fest, which I just got the date approved for
Nice.
that. That'll be March 22nd and the 23rd this year. We're gonna have 2 days.
All
So
right.
looking for artists for that. I already got some, but yeah, those dates off top, and just look out for new music and other stuff.
Very cool. We're going to touch on that a little bit more later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. And then where's that at?
Allentown Brewworks.
Oh,
Same
cool. All right.
same spot for
Very
all
cool.
of it. Yeah, same spot
Yeah.
for all of it.
All right. Since it's your first time like doing a solo thing, I don't know, that kind of brings a whole bunch of different
Yeah.
things. Yeah, how you tackling that? And you're gonna have
That's
to
a
cover
lot.
two hours?
That's a lot of music, man. It's a lot of music. I gotta
It
say, oh
certainly
my
is.
gosh, going through a lot of the old stuff and then meshing it with the new. It's really weird to like go back on like an old flow I haven't touched on
Yeah,
in a while and like kind of put my own twist on it now.
yeah,
But yeah, my whole SoundCloud I've been working like you read and I wrote to you to since
yeah.
2014. I'm gonna re-release the whole archive soon. I have a lot of it privated right now, but I have to put it out there, it's gonna be like I'm gonna bring it back and shine it in the light.
Very
I think it's important to see where you really come from.
agreed. Yeah, we'll touch on that a little bit too in a
Hmm.
minute. Chaos Guitars, Dave, thank you for joining. Chaos Incarnate, Rosie, thank you for joining. We'll probably touch base this weekend at some point. Looking forward to that. All right, so Dom, are you originally from the area or did you move in at some point? You talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was born in Allentown on what is it, 17th and Shoe
Oh,
at the hospital there. Before they had Cedar Crest built, I was built there. I was born there, and then they built that hospital. That's where the rest of my family was born. I'm one of like there's five of my like five siblings, and
yeah.
we've all been. I've had a kind of like sporadic, like I've lived all through the area throughout my life for different
Mhm.
reasons. Moved out of the states, move out of the state and back. And I always just found my way back here, man. So that's why it's the 610. I don't really have a locked in destination. It's just kind of everywhere. I just consider like this whole spot my home.
Yeah, very cool. Something similar. I moved to Philadelphia for about
Mm-hmm.
7 years and came back for family issues and then just kind of stuck around for more
Yeah.
of that. But yeah, I actually want to talk to you about Philly too, because I feel like some of your music is there's a lot of hip hop down there,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of falls in line with some of what was going on down there at the time,
Yeah.
at least what I was hearing. So, was there like a person in your life, or like a record, or a song that was the kind of that kicked you off and really got you hooked on music?
Um, my family, like my mom and my dad, they really like my dad really likes rock music and metal,
Hmm.
and my mom really liked country. My mom liked rock when she like got with my dad more. But the
Hmm.
one thing that they like kind of both, it was like I don't want to say a guilty pleasure, but a thing like they both like really like their own like certain hip hop records too.
Cool.
So I got into it mainly like the stuff my dad had like tons of CDs. He had always had a big sound system, so he'd always have music playing. So I don't know. It's not really like one particular thing. It was just kind of it was always there, and I always felt something like a connection to it.
Yeah. Was
Yeah.
there a certain like hip hop artist that you gravitated towards or that your parents played that really kind of connected with you?
You know, there's some, but I gotta say, like, as I grew older and realized, like, Pharrell Williams, he's probably one of like my biggest like producer
Yeah.
like influences. Like, he ran the radio like throughout my whole childhood.
Yeah.
Like, he had everything
Seriously.
on lock. So it was like, but I'd say like, yeah, he worked with like Nelly, freaking. Dr. Dre, I'd probably say that's my parents. Like that was their big, like their mesh point. Like they really liked like the West Coast stuff a lot.
Yeah. So actually,
Like a
I
ton,
was
a
gonna
ton.
bring that up. I think to me, you sound much more R&B West Coast
Hmm.
than I would say East Coast. Would you agree with
I
that?
don't know. It's hard to say. I think in my rap delivery, the East Coast is there, but a lot
That
of the
that's
singing, I
true.
would see. Yeah, I would
Production
say this.
wise.
The
Yeah.
singing, I could definitely see why you would say that, though. It's got a
Yeah.
lot of the swing and the. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just that beachy feeling. I see.
Yeah.
Hmm.
keyboards. There's some, yeah, you're right. There is some East
It's a
Coast
product.
too, like
It's a product of the internet because you have just all this music like all over the place, so you can be
yeah,
influenced like so much faster than you could be back in the day, I feel like.
totally. And one of the things too that's happening now is people like genres. I mean, obviously genres are still a thing, and but people hop all over the place now. Like,
Hmm.
before you were kind of either like you were in a rock band or you were a hip hop
Yeah.
artist or
Yeah.
you were this or that, and now everything's kind of all mixed up. So I think it's
Oh,
great.
it's
But
awesome.
there were some bands before that kind of really kicked off that would be doing a whole bunch of different stuff, but they had a real hard time catching on just because the audience had to keep up with so many different styles and they just couldn't hang. But now it's
Hmm.
different. So yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. Let's see here. Jack Slimy, thank you for joining. Beth,
Bethany,
yeah, if you knew, there you
thank
go.
you. Thank
Bethany,
you
thank you for joining.
thank you for
DJ
joining.
Nightwitch, yeah, thank you for joining. I believe she's out of Philly too. Gilvan Rodriguez, you are on here all the time. Thank you so much for joining
DJ
and jumping in here.
Nightwish, thanks for the follow.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
All right. And then, so how did you get started making music? I mean, was it like on the production side of things? Did you just start rapping right away? Like,
I
how
like
did you?
to I like to draw a lot when I was a kid and write stuff. Like I like to write like little stories. So I always
Yeah,
wrote. So I feel like when I wrote like little stories or just little stupid things is like just jotting stuff down as a kid does, like kind of just experimenting with their mind. As I
yeah,
grew older, it turned into like I liked poetry a lot.
cool.
I never really read that much, but like I always liked to write, and I don't know, it just came out of me from someplace like special. I always just feel like I had something to say. So for music, it really started there. And then I was like, with, like I said, the internet thing going on, it became
Hmm.
kind of really easy to realize, like, okay, there's not a lot of people who know what they're doing, and they still like get pretty far. So why not? Like,
It's amazing, isn't it?
yeah, and it's just like when I look at people that I listen to, even early stuff, because I got on MySpace pretty like way too young, and I found like some music on there that still resonates with me to this day, and I'm just like the 2000s music, even when that really became a thing with the internet, like it inspired me a lot to be like, okay, I can do that. Like I got something to say. That's the main thing. I always had something to back me up. I always felt like I'm not doing this for no reason. I'm not doing this to just say nothing.
Yeah.
Like I have something there that I want to put out. So mainly the vocal side of things, I'd say.
Very
Yeah, for
cool.
sure. Production came later. It started with my friend who made beats, Dan Russo, in trigonometry. He shout out Dan. I hope he
Nice.
joins at one point. Shout out Dan. But
Cool.
with him, when I met him, that was the first like person experience I had. It wasn't over the internet, and that was someone to be like push you and be like, I believe in you, dude. We can do this. I make beats, you rap. And then from there, I just kind of had like, okay, I can take this anywhere. I can meet any. It starts like really weird, but if you have somebody, even a couple people to believe in you, friends and everything, like that's what really pushed me, I think, the most.
That's so
So,
great. And it's
hmm
so, you're right. It only takes a few or even one person to really
hmm
say that to you to really help you believe in yourself too and put be strong enough to put it out there too. Because that is something as well. You can sit and create music all day and it's a whole nother thing to put it out there for the world to like,
hmm
you know, say whatever they want about it.
It's like
So
giving birth. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
It's like you're
yeah,
like this little thing that I've been having, like just putting in like for months, just giving my all, and now you have to put it out there, like, oh my God, please
yeah.
be safe. Like I hope everything's okay.
Do you get
Shout out
anxious
Alfie.
about that?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah. I do. Oh, very much. It's become more it's become more prevalent as I've grown with the music, I think.
Yeah.
When you're young, you don't care. Like I said, like you heard what I was saying. You don't really care. You're just so oblivious and like you're just learning. But now when you learn, it's just like, oh my God, like you kind of just you're scared to step out of your comfort zone. And I'm trying to relearn that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah. For sure. How about live? Like for I still struggle with this too, but like stage fright or
hmm
getting in front, like it's one thing to do your thing by yourself in your studio, and then it's another thing like we're talking about to put it out there in front of people, but then it's a whole another thing to actually go perform it in front of people.
hmm
Have you ever struggled with that at all, or is it not you're just kind of a natural,
In the
you
be
like to get up and
in the beginning, but like I just think I look forward to those experiences
hmm
now the most because it's just like, yeah, what else is there to do? I want to get up there. I want to say the message myself. I want people to have the face there too. So, Obscure needs his face
Yep,
when you see it. So I always I had some worries. I still get, the shakes like everybody does, but
sure.
once you're up there, it just like kind of goes invisible, it goes blank because you get lost in the hype, I think.
Yep, yep. You get and it's the same thing like you talk about getting out of your comfort zone. It's so
hmm
important because that's where you grow. Like for me, it's always been failure has always been the place where you grow the most. Like successes don't teach you a whole lot.
hmm Mm-mm.
Yeah. Book of Beard, thank you for joining. Let's see here. Man, you hit on a whole bunch of things right off the top.
We could summarize it all back together.
So you started back in 2014. Oh, I remember. One thing that was terrifying, I played in bands for a long time too, and as the 2000s kind of happened, the music industry kind of fell apart from
hmm
the internet, but at the same time was like reborn from the internet, like you're talking about MySpace and all that. And it
hmm
was a terrifying time because it was like, oh, everything you've known of how to do this just kind of fell apart overnight, and now everyone's got to relearn everything.
hmm
Can you maybe just talk a little bit about you've been putting out music for a long time, like how to ride those changes in platform, in people's taste, in your own styles,
hmm
and like how you've just kind of kept moving forward.
Well, man, people are not gonna like everything. That's one thing I've learned. So
Great
I've
point.
just, I've just, I try not to follow. It's cool to endeavor in what's going on and stay hip to it, especially in hip hop, because I mean, or rap or whatever kind of like subgenre you're in.
Mhm.
If you're in like the hip hop general direction, you're here today, gone tomorrow once you have something big. So you got
Yep.
to find a way to stay relevant, not really copy or go with what's going on, but find your own way to, I don't know. It's hard. There's really no answer to it. It's just like you kind of got to have this factor about you, I think.
Yep. And
Like,
people are going to figure it out as you go along for sure.
hmm You can't just have it all like in one album or like, because especially when I started on the SoundCloud thing, when that's a big thing in music, even now it's still like there's memes about it.
Yep.
I mean, like the little this, the little that, the mumble rap they so call it. But
Yeah.
it's the same thing. A lot of those artists now have blossomed and are some of the biggest in the industry, and some of them flopped after one album and have to go, who the heck even knows where they're at. So it's just you can have your own sound, but it's all about maintaining it, like you said, building with it. So I don't
Yeah.
know. That's what I've always gone with, and I always just try to one up myself, which kind of can beat you down as a person. But yeah, you
Definitely.
gotta always like you gotta get back up, and he's like, I can go so much harder than that. I already know.
Yeah.
And that's where live comes into play too. Once you do something live, you're like, oh my gosh, I could do so much better than this. What am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
hmm
Do you do you take like for us, we always are like, all right, we think this is going to work, but you never know if it's really going to work until you play it in front of people,
hmm
and then
hmm
you kind of refine it from there. So it's
hmm
like, all right, this worked really well, or this part didn't really hit as big as we thought it would. So do you take that? Do you after you do the live performance, do you kind of like take notes and go back to the woodshed and change things as you go?
A little bit, yeah, because I cut my main vocals for my performances. I usually keep the backtracking for the singing a lot. And when
Mhm.
there's parts I realize I can't do, where I was like, okay, well, I need a spot to breathe there. I'll go back and I'll remember like the certain spot. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
I do that. Sometimes I just go a completely different route though, and I don't know, I'll try something just completely different. Cut it all out. I've done that. I love doing that because then you kind of lose it. If you lose it, you can freestyle and like have your own like experience with it too. Kind of like a Grateful Dead live, if you
Okay,
will.
we were actually, yeah, actually, we were talking about Grateful Dead earlier because we were talking about playing a show that was like a lot longer than we had a set for. So, like, how are we going to stretch this like the Dead, where you can just be like, okay, we'll just kind of riff on this for a little bit and just go with it. But it's a great analogy. Like, when you are freestyling, is it? do you kind of have an idea where you want to go, or are you just kind of line
Not
by
at all.
line?
Not at all. Line by line. Maybe two. Maybe I'll think two throughout, and then like each two, I'll be like, okay, those two got to make sense. Then I got to do something else, and then all of a sudden, I don't know. It'll just have its own mind. There'll be a paragraph. Feels like I'm speaking a book about the same thing, and then it
That's
just goes
cool.
to something. I don't know. That's one thing I really can't explain, and it's different every time. I feel like it's never consistent. It's always its own entity. If
Yeah,
I've learned for the end of songs, if I really can't finish something, I'll freestyle it. Even if you just make noises or like
yeah,
syllables and fill it in later,
yeah,
that helps a lot. It's like a scat singing thing, and you're like, okay, there's something there I was trying to say.
yeah.
I like how it sounds, but there's no words, so you add it later, and that's a cool experience too.
Do you write like that? That's actually how I write a lot, just vocally.
I sectionize it. I don't really focus on one part really. I do like, maybe a 4 bar and 8 bar,
Hmm.
but I never just like, okay, I got a whole verse. Like I kind of I don't want to lose track. I try, which is another thing because I feel like I overstress that. That's where I feel like the freestyling in the end really counterbalances that and makes the song kind of like it's both parts of my mind, the part that wants to have fun and the part that's really serious.
Yeah. Yeah, I always have a lot of respect for like a freestyle and battle raps because it
Mhm.
has to make sense. It's right off the cuff and it's in front
Mhm.
of people, and it's like, man, that's a tall order.
Sometimes
Uh,
there's no beat either. My friend Nate, he's in the Bahamas right now. He produces some beats for me,
oh, cool.
but he's a battle rapper and he's always telling me, "Oh, there's no beat. Like you just gotta have it ready. It's gotta be 3 minutes." I'm like, "What is this? Like a demonstration speech, man? Oh my goodness, I don't think I could do that."
Yeah. Can you just talk about that a little bit? Like, you're collaborating with other people.
Yeah.
Like, how are they just your friends, or do you reach out to people on the internet because you like their tracks,
Oh
that kind of
yeah, for
stuff?
sure. That's the main thing because once I learned how easy that was, I've secured like features that way.
Yeah.
A lot of what the ways is like, email, man. You just
Yep.
shoot an email to somebody, it goes a long way. All you got to do
Yeah.
is ask. That's one thing I could say in hip hop. If you really want to get into it, all you got to do is ask. Guaranteed, if you're trying to do business with somebody, they will answer you right away. You have it like ready right there. But I started, like I said, with my friend Dan, people that I knew. And then I grew into liking songs and I found producers and the way they sold beats or emailed, PayPal,
Hmm.
the connection. That's how I made like my first album. It was kind of like a deal of producers that were my friends and
Hmm.
some that I loved on the internet that I finally got the budget to do. So it was like the best of both worlds and like really like completed it for me and my vision from all those things I did over the years to one album that was just like, dang, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
So and then
It is.
it turned into from there to go even further. People
Yep.
would reach out to me. I'm from France. I found your music. I think you would sound cool on my beats. And it's just like, you're from France? How did you even find me? And like, I love your beat. Like, and it went that way then. And I never expected that ever since I like started. So that was a really cool moment for me. And that's what's kind of happening now for this album a lot. And I'm still reaching out to people. The one I'm working on now. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I just had a question because you had touched on something and I wanted to write it down but I couldn't think of it. Let's see. Oh, if you have questions for Dom, you can drop them in the comments at any point. We'll read them off. Or if anyone wants to hear anything,
Yeah.
direction wise, just let us know.
Thanks everybody that's here. Thanks for listening to me
Oh,
babble, man. This is sick.
that's what I wanted to ask. What do you look for, like when you're looking for a producer, you're listening to beats, like what do you gravitate towards? Are there certain things or just whatever strikes you?
No, the sound is like completely irrelevant. I've learned it doesn't. Sometimes it's just this certain feeling, and this it's just right place, right time,
Yeah.
and it's just that's how it starts. And then it's like, okay, you did that to me one time, you could totally do it again, but this time it's not like gonna be as sporadic. Like I gotta go and like then I start once I work with somebody, I feel like then I really start to be like, okay, this is your sound. Like this is what I start to look. I look for strong points like later.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I
Okay, cool.
start, it's always like just boom. And
Yeah. And I know community is like a really important thing. I
hmm
think like sometimes I feel like hip hop always seemed to be a little bit tighter in that regard, and like there was like a sense of like everyone's hustling and they're trying to make connections, and rock bands didn't have that as much I didn't really learn that until maybe like a couple years ago of like, no, it really is about building a community of people and having your
Oh yeah.
friends help you and all that. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I feel like it's already a very the whole you could do it at home, you could go to the studio, but it's very just if you're a solo hip hop artist, it's very on you. So I feel like having those people to especially work on your production and everything is very important to keep you boosted. And once you build your own community and things like that, even into your fan base, you have your own sound and your own thing going on. Like
Hmm.
you're gonna attract people around you. And that's how I feel like the 610 Fest really came to be honest. It's
Yeah,
just
you want to
like
touch on yeah, you want to touch on that a little bit? Like when did that start? What made you put that together in the first place?
well, I really always liked when I started doing shows, like I said, this is my first show, November 21st, Allentown Brewworks solo
Hmm.
show.
Yep.
I always did shows with bands or crossovers or things like that. Like that's how I came up because my friend Eric Stroll, he's the one that put me on stage for the first time because I had some homies in the music scene that were in it for a little bit and fell out of it, but
Hmm.
he was putting me on all these shows with all his friends, like anytime you get a chance. So it's like anytime I saw an opportunity to hop on a bill, I would. And then when I tried to do it myself for a while, it didn't really work out. So the 610 Fest came about. I was like, I had one spot that would take me, and I took it, but it would be the Brewworks. That's why I like always just, it's the spot I got,
Yep.
and I'm working with it.
Yep.
And I just was like, music festivals are expensive. I don't really got the money to go to one of those. Like, I want to try and do my own thing. And there's so much local talent around here. I think it
Oh
was
yeah.
2019 or 2018. Then it was supposed to be 2019. And so, no, why was it? No, it was 2019 because the pandemic ruined it. And then it was just the second one this past time. So this is going to
Oh
be the
wow.
third one coming
Oh
up.
cool.
Yeah, so I tried to do it annually, but the COVID thing messed it up. And then oh man, dude, it's just I get so excited talking about it. It's just so hype. Like I love just getting everybody on the bill. Like the past time was so good. I love the first time. It's a learning experience every time, and I love just bringing people together under the same roof and just like it's like kids at recess, dude. It is the coolest thing ever. It's the only thing that it makes these people so fucking happy. And it's just everybody doing the same thing and bullshitting and shooting like pool and like watching
Yep.
each other jam and like is that's what I really like fell in love with it the first time. And then each year we make profit. Each year we make more profit
Oh
because
good.
the whole band we split the door fees evenly. And that's what I really like about it too. Like it's not like one of those I don't want to like diss, but it's like it's not one of like the you come off who you're here to see type things where like somebody makes more. Like no, we all make equally. Even I throw the event, I don't make any more. Like I can just get the event space easily. Like I'm
Yep.
and it just as an artist, just as everybody else is. I get the experience of doing it. That gives me the pleasure, and that's payment enough for me. And I'm gonna do it until we're I don't know an Allentown Fair type situation.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too. You got to find the people who really love it because
Hmm.
they'll do it when there is no money, and then you can
Yeah.
just that's how you start building
Then
the whole
you
thing
can
up.
budget it up.
Yep.
Imagine if I could get a Ferris wheel.
Yeah. Let's see. Ari10, thank you for joining. Matt in the Hat, thank you for joining. Shania
Shania.
Det, thank you for
Yeah.
joining. If you have questions for Dom, you can drop them in the comments below and we will get to them. All right. Can you talk about, like, I'm always kind of, I wasn't in the SoundCloud rap scene. Can you maybe talk a little bit about that and then what hip hop means to you?
Um, well, the SoundCloud rap scene was something. Like I said, it was just one of those experiences where you're like, dang, oh my gosh, look at all these people that kind of don't know what they're doing, but they have millions of views. And it's like that's the problem. That was the problem right there. I think that was the breaking point for a lot of it. Like people just did anything for the views and they didn't really
Mm,
care about the sound.
mm,
And like I
mm.
said, when I started, that was the one thing I had in me the most. So when I saw that, it was kind of like especially I was like 18, 19, coming out of high school, like
Yep.
really trying to figure myself out. And like these kids were getting face tattoos and all this stuff and getting like, it was serious stuff, shooting like guns in public, taking drugs in public. I'm like, what is
Yeah.
wrong with these kids, man? And like, I'm looking at this like, is this what I have to do? And just like,
Mm,
that's where it really was. It separated, I feel like, a lot of what hip hop is, and that's why people
Hmm.
get so mad at it. Some people look at it in a punk aspect. You can look at it how you want. It was really
Oh,
messed up.
absolutely.
You
Yeah.
can. It was messed up, but like there were some things that came out of that, like artists that are still very important. Unfortunately, a lot of them
Yeah.
had passed away, but they had left a cultural phenomenon for sure, whether you like to admit it or
Yeah.
not. And it's nuts. It's sad though, because a lot of them died very young.
Yeah, I think you hit on a great point there too. Like
Mhm.
they get distracted by the attention, and then they
Mhm.
go down this path of what they think people want out of them instead of like what really is from inside, and they want to share with people. So yeah, great point.
Yeah.
Violet, thank you for joining. If you have questions, you can drop them in the comments below.
But
Uh,
for hip hop, for me, man, it's a way of life. It's everything. The way I dress, the way I speak, the way I go off on my tangents, the way I just like carry myself. I mean, I feel like I even speak in on beat sometimes. You know,
mhm,
like it's just ingrained in me. I can't and just man, I don't know. It's kind of what it is. It's a whole thing. You can't really even describe it. It's something special. I think that's what makes it one of the coolest genres of music. And it's
mhm,
so prolific and lyrical. Like if you break down a lot of lyrical rap, like if it was just like a poem,
mhm.
it's insane. Some of the shit you
Yeah,
just read is like, oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Did you ever take like any creative writing or anything, or did you just kind of
I
naturally
had a
have a knack for it?
I had a lot of creative writing exercises in high school, but
Yeah.
nothing really ever that was graded. I never took like a creative writing class, but
Hmm.
I just like I always just wrote, like I
Right.
said.
That is the
Just
most important thing. Got out there
mm-hmm,
and doing it for sure.
mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about how things have changed from when you started till now. Like maybe how you approach a song or um, how things get received, like we were talking about before. Maybe the
Mm-hmm.
how the scene has changed, all that kind of stuff.
I think when I approach a song now, it's more on like direct. If I really like it, I will pursue it. If I don't, I will pause it immediately. I'll go. I don't even waste the train of thought. Like I don't try and stress myself out thinking about it. I know
Mm-hmm.
the flow like right away. Almost like when I hear the beat right away, I'm like, yeah, I can do something on that. It's like I hear, and sometimes you get the beat and it sits with you for a while. Like you
Yeah.
got to get, it's weird. Like sometimes it'll sit with you for a while and then you can think of something. Sometimes it hits you right away and you need it right
Hmm.
then. And if you don't do it, it's so strange. But yeah, that's probably the main thing. The way I approach it and the way I can carry it, because it became a lot more serious to me and what the song means to me now, I feel like. So if it's just like an empty thought over time, I'm like, I don't like that part or I don't like that song, which I kind of hate. I wish I could get rid of that. I wish I could like erase that part of me and just like say fuck it and just this will be sick. I could write a song about, I don't know, like my cat eating my food, like my hot pocket when I'm not looking or something, you know what I mean?
I would love to hear
Yeah,
that.
yeah, there you go. But yeah, that's one thing I could say for sure that's a lot different. I forget the
Do
other
you
part of the
start?
question.
It just what's changed? Like your approach, how your approach has changed since you've been putting out music for a long time.
Definitely more of the freestyling
Mhm,
thing, like I said before. I never really messed with that on a song or trusted it. And I feel like, sometimes they say trust your gut at the end of a song. I
uh,
don't know what to do. Trust your gut. And
always,
it's worked. It's worked
yeah,
every single time. And I never like let it work,
yeah,
but yeah.
that won't steer you wrong. Yeah, for
Hmm.
sure. When you were writing, do you have a notebook? Do you do everything on your
I
phone or
I have
online?
notebooks,
Notebooks, really? Oh, that's cool.
notebooks on notebooks. Yeah, I use
Oh,
my
wow.
phone a little bit
Yeah.
because when you use your iPhone, it breaks the syllables down like
Yep.
per line. It's kind of like a cheat code, but I like notebooks because I need to get it out quick. And sometimes
Yeah.
if I have the beat on my phone or something, like I don't want to like flip tabs. Like I just gotta jot a little thought, or
Yeah.
even the end, just like the end rhymes,
Yep.
something.
Yep.
Something that's just I don't know, anything really, just a little note. I need to take notes. That's what I'm saying. I can't do it on my phone the way you could on a pad. You never can.
Yeah, I agree completely. I have a whole bunch of notebooks and I started that way.
Hmm.
And then I switched to digital and you're totally right. Like I go back occasionally and just flip through my notebooks and there's like drawings and notes to
There's
yourself, and
things in there, man. There's
yeah,
some important gems in there that could help you out later,
yeah.
for sure.
Or you can, I like how you can see the progress too. Like I'll come up with like a line or something, and then you can cross it out because you don't like
Mm-hmm.
that, but then you end up using it later or something. It's
Mm-hmm.
just way more interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
for
should get
sure.
back to doing that. Let's see. Do you have like do you start with like a theme when you're writing, or
The beat usually tells me that, I can say.
yeah, so
Yeah,
you like
the
listen
beat.
and it
Yeah,
kind
the
of,
beat.
yeah.
I connect with a lot of instruments,
Hmm.
mainly like Rhodes keys, things like that.
Yes, that's what I like about it.
Certain
Flute.
tempos of drums and certain fills too. Like
Yeah,
the way it fills, the way the drum fills is the main thing. Because you could have this hardest drum beat, but like the little like smacks in the middle are really
yeah,
what like okay, that's
yeah,
what like gets the flow started, I could say.
yeah.
But yeah, I usually I let it's all beat. Usually totally let the beat decide. And even if I'm sad, like that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for, or like have
Hmm.
or use. So yeah, the music usually talks on that, but there's times I have it just written down already and I just need the music. That's not as common, but it happens every now and then.
Hmm. And you were talking about just, I don't know, the way hip hop kind of broke too. It was samples and loops, and a lot more focus on lyrics and rhyming. And I feel like that kind of, exactly what you said. One of the first things for me with music was someone brought like a guitar over and showed me a song right away that was really simple, and I was like, oh my God. And so I learned a song in like 2 minutes, and it was like,
Hmm.
wow, I can. And similar to you,
Yeah.
you're like, you
You're like,
can
oh my
do
gosh, I
this.
can do that. Oh,
Exactly.
I can do anything,
It,
dude.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
It's the
was such a great,
best feeling.
yeah, yeah. So I feel like hip hop really did that for a lot of people. It
Man,
still is actually.
it's split from like the sample. Well, samples are still that what I hate now is the sample thing is getting a little outdated. We're getting a little like
Okay. Yeah.
samples of
Yeah.
samples, like too much. Like I'm hearing samples of a song from 10 years ago. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this isn't even that old. But it's
Yeah.
getting a lot more melodic. It's more
Yes.
melodic now. Very
Yeah.
the auto tune, all that
Hmm.
stuff. But Autotune's interesting. I'll touch on that too
Yeah.
because
Go ahead.
autotune's one of like the one thing like it's one of the only things I feel like that hip hop really has predominantly owned.
Hmm.
That's like and then it's gone into it's used in everything now. You look
Yeah.
at like
Now.
T-Pain back in the day. I
Yeah.
think even the Red Hot Chili Peppers use autotune on Stadium
Everybody.
Arcadia. But it was
Everybody.
there was the low key thing, but then I feel
Yeah.
like hip hop was real like this is ours.
Crank it up.
Ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're gonna go crazy. Like turn
Yeah.
that up all
Yeah.
the way. Switch the pitch, make me
Yeah.
sing in the wrong pitch. Like it's insane the stuff. Like its whole it's an entity. If you ever
Yeah.
just mess around in that, like you can get seriously lost of how
Yeah.
crazy that is.
Yeah.
There's times I just used it last night. I'm working on one of my new singles. I
Cool.
flipped it on the highs and I was like, that does not even sound like me.
Yeah.
It does it's like I feel like it's like a cheat code. It's a cheat code, it feels like
It can
sometimes.
be. It's like an effect, like anything else. Like every time a new effect comes out, and maybe you could touch on this a little bit too. Like there's like there becomes these big jumps in technology, and that real, I think a lot of inspiration for me, especially too. Like inspiration can come from an instrument or a piece of software or anything like that. Maybe just talk about that a little bit too. Like, is there things that inspire you, like autotune or something else?
Oh, yeah, it's cool to see where I can take my voice. That's where I was saying about that. Like, and not
Hmm.
even like it feels like cheating. It's just like I don't think I could have ever sang it that perfectly. Like I sang it okay, but like that just when it
Yeah.
took it to another level, I think that's why it really that's why a lot of people use it.
Yeah.
It just and it has this swing to it. It switches the mix of the song when you
Yeah.
turn it on. Like it hits different. It doesn't sound the same as it would if you just use reverb on your voice.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It it's so weird. Like it's weird. And
You
there's all
brought up.
these. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just it's like it's just insane because you can turn up like the robotics of it
Yeah.
too, and like the attack and just your voice just turns into like a it's just an unchained beast.
Yeah.
It's
You touched on reverb too. Do you have like a vocal chain or effects that you kind of go to, like your first kind of thing that you
I
reached for as a
I
starting
I got
point?
I got a few plugins that I had
Yeah.
made, but I use them mainly as ground points.
Yep.
I never really stay consistent with it. But yeah, I'll use like a little bit of the sauce is just like the three stack left, right,
Yep.
middle, kind of
Yep.
like find the I call it like that's what's the obscurity about it. You up in one side, left. It's just the whole. I don't even know. You probably, if you listen to some of the tracks, you probably
Yeah.
heard it like kind of
Yeah.
go like whoop de whoop for
Yep.
your ears. I
Yeah,
don't want to
for
give
sure.
too much of the sauce away. I can't give it all away. There could be people that grab this screen recording that you're doing in the future and like be like, oh, I'm gonna write that note down.
Yeah, that is kind of the downside, right? It's like so easy to be like, that's mine now. And then
It's
you like,
it's
yeah,
never the same though. That's one
that's
thing
true.
also. That's one thing that's also different from bringing it back from before. Like way when I started, that's how it would be. I'd always have the same thing. I'd lock it in the same way. Now, like I've started with just backgrounds or sounds or ad libs for that matter, and I would never
Hmm.
do something like that to set the tone of the song. Like the way I'll go about it now is just completely different, and even the takes I'll use. Like I do takes in stupid voices and it ends up working. And I'm like, I can't believe I would never do something like that. And then
Yeah.
there I am doing it. So yeah, that's one thing that I really liked about going back to that topic. Just, man, yeah, it's insane to think that you do something for 10 years and you're still like just kind of still you're still learning.
Yeah. And infatuated by it too. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's this like circular thing where it's like, oh, there's this thing I've been doing it for so long, yet it's brand new and it makes me want to
Yeah.
keep trying things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, can you talk a little bit about like you've been like just what you said there, like you've been putting out music for 10 years. There's got to be times like I know there's times for me where I just totally get burnt out on
Mm-hmm.
things and I'm just like, all right, I do love it, but there's a point where I just just get burnt. And can you talk maybe about a time where you hit a low point or you
Mm-hmm.
got burnt out and then, how do you get back into that groove?
Mm-hmm. This whole since this last album, honestly, it's been hard to just get back into it, and that's why I'm talking a lot about the new stuff and kind of like getting really excited talking about it.
Hmm.
And even talking to you now, I really like just was so I feel like the formula, like I was trying to switch it, and I like I wasn't trusting myself, like I was just talking about there. I wasn't
Hmm.
experimenting and doing these stupid things. I didn't have like the heart or something wasn't there, and yeah, I couldn't. I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't really. And the last song I just released, Anything Could Happen. It was one of those songs I had that was like my last baby I had. It was just like this. This is the only song I have, and I'm just gonna put it out because I need to put something out because I just like
Hmm.
I need a hope. And the song is coincidentally called Anything Could Happen. So I
Hmm.
put it out, and it just let me. It sat for a while. I did the 610 Fest last year. I performed, and people really liked it. And then since then. I've kind of just been trying to like really like boost myself back up. It's like, come on, man, people want it, people are there, and it's like not even like I don't think people are. It's just me personally. You get down and you like don't really know where to go from there. I'm
Hmm.
not trying to say it was that good. I didn't know where to go. It was just like I that was the last thing I had for a while, and I was like, I don't know how to really have fun like that. I kind of feel like I lost the fun. And recently, since I booked that show and the 610 Fest coming up. I've really had like a lot of the boost there, and maybe that had a lot of effect on it. But I feel like I've had a little bit more of something coming. I don't know, but the gears are turning now, and I'm getting more ideas. So,
Cool.
if they really come out of it, I don't know. I'd say just make sure like don't ever have a stopping point. Set something up for yourself. I feel like if you have a challenge like that, or like a show or whatever, just go into the studio, like meeting with somebody to jam. Just do something. Don't set a boundary on yourself. Just go like do it and like set a goal and have fun. That's all. Like that's all you really need. I feel like it's music. It's supposed to be fun, right? This isn't a job. This isn't a
That's
nine to
the whole
five.
point.
It would be sick if it was. It'd be cool to
Yeah.
get paid like that, but it's not a job. Like just have fun. That's the one thing I keep saying. I go back on it. Like doing it for a while, you kind of forget
Yeah.
that. Just have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Like the age of digital too. Like when I first started when I was a kid, it was like 4-track tapes and all this other stuff, and it was very limiting in certain ways. It made you be more creative in certain ways, now that we moved fully into digital, well, most of us anyway, move fully into digital, there is that there is that temptation, like you're saying, of like I can do whatever I want and experiment whatever I want. And I love that you said this, like because I've done it. Like I've kind of lost my way at some point where it's like you
Oh
try
my gosh.
different things, and then you
Yeah.
listen back to these things, and you're like, I can see where I was at the time, but that's just not really me, or that's not. It was who I was at the time, but not anymore. And yeah, it's just a really interesting learning experience.
Four tracks, man. To get back on four tracks, you ever listen to like Memphis hip hop, like
No,
3 6
no.
Mafia or
Oh yeah, I
anything?
know of them, but I haven't listened to them. Yeah,
Things like that were four track, and it blows my mind the stuff
what
they
they
were
can.
able to do on that. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh,
exactly.
just the
Yeah,
pushing the boundaries,
yeah,
and now like you're saying with like you could have just like sometimes I look back on old stuff, like dude, 5 tracks of vocal. Are we serious right now? Like what were you even trying to? Like, they're not even like doing anything with each other. Like you just you take it for granted, but that's what
yeah,
makes it cool because like even with like auto tune and stacking and like the
yeah,
whole like game has changed. I mean, it's crazy to me to think being I'm only 26 and like when you'd have to like bands would be in the studio recording a part, it's like, okay, we're gonna have to redo that. Just run the whole thing back, do it all over.
yeah,
I'm like, oh my gosh, you couldn't even just like metronome yourself in really at that point. You
yeah,
had to it's yeah,
yeah.
that's crazy. It's
Different
it
world for sure.
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I like they're born in the wrong generation, maybe in some ways, but in terms of music creation, not at
Yeah.
all. I think I'm good. I think I'm good.
Have you ever like obviously from living in Philly so long, as far as hip hop goes, the roots have really kind of stuck with me. Have you
Oh
ever
yeah.
done anything like with a band or anything like that? Have you ever experimented in that direction
Uh,
at all?
there's a song on my album called World Domination. The
Mm-hmm.
album it's called what's it called? What is If You Don't Mind. And my friend Matt Liddick, he plays guitar for Christina Giacoletti, if you ever heard of her. He plays guitar in her band, and he did a
Cool.
guitar on that and a little guitar solo. And it was
Nice.
sick because it was a one take Jake that he did, and we just like layered it up like crazy. And
Yeah.
I played a couple keys on it, and I
Yeah.
got a JDXI, a Roland, like a drum and a synth
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
going on. So we just kind of made a whole jam track on the album, and that was an experience. I got Nick Petrella on a song
Yeah.
too.
Nice.
That didn't make that didn't make the cut. I hope he's not mad about that still, but I still have it in there. It was just like we were messing around. I did that before one with my friend Matt. But the only times I messed around with bands were like open jams or open
Yeah.
mics or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'd love to. It'd be sick, but
Yeah. Just curious.
yeah, oh man, I would love it. It would be so cool. I think that would be a step up that I could really look forward to. That would be one of those things for sure. Even just like if it was 3 songs.
Yeah. When I was in Philly, I lived with a bunch of guys. Do you know Jedi Mind Tricks?
Mm-hmm.
Is that all? Have you ever heard of
Yeah, I know.
them?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they were really close friends with the people I lived with in West Philadelphia. So they come over all the time, and I would just either play bass or acoustic, and
Mm-hmm.
they would they would basically like sit at the top of the stairs. Oh, outer space too. We'd sit at the top of the stairs and just listen, and then they would come down and just we would jam, and it would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of fun. And those guys know so much about music. It was just
Yeah,
great to kind of pick their brain.
that's really fucking sick. With Jedi
Yeah,
mind tricks.
yeah. Good, fun guys.
Yeah.
Um, let's see here. One of the other things, like we're just on the the difference between doing your solo thing and then doing like a band or a collaboration. Can you just maybe touch on that a little bit?
Man, like the difference
Sure.
between it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mm, I'd say just like another person's opinion just matters so much,
Yeah.
and it helps
Yeah.
you so much just to get out of your head,
Yeah.
especially a lot in a like I said a genre that is just specifically you and connecting yourself and with whoever. When you bring in the jam session and there's just open opinions flying everywhere,
Mhm.
the song that I wanted doesn't even get made. It just becomes something else. Like that's what's even cooler. That's what I like more. It makes me like it more because it's not like what I specifically thought would happen. Like it could become better for that way.
Absolutely. I feel like some people struggle with getting feedback or having that happen or go in a different way.
Hmm.
But I like I, for the start of this band, it was just me just trying to put some demos out to try to find other people, and I was like, yeah, I like these obviously because I'm putting them out. But when other people joined, they would add things that I would never think of. So they would take these like right hand or left hand turns into like, oh my god, I would never ever have imagined like it could have gotten to this point.
Hmm.
But it's really interesting. But some people struggle with like having what they think is the right thing change. So
I think
yeah, I don't know.
I think if I ever had a band, that would bother me. I'm not gonna
Okay.
lie,
Yeah,
but
yeah, no,
I think I think the thing is working it out.
yeah.
Don't just that I don't know. If it switched, but I'm also I'm also as a person where if I don't have an idea fully established, I'm not really gonna argue it if
Yeah,
somebody has a better idea, you know.
correct. Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe it won't happen much. I don't really have a band to have the full scene, but I could
Uh,
see it.
for sure. Like sometimes a song will just come out and it'll be complete,
Hmm.
but sometimes I purposely will stop writing a song just because I know other people are going to be involved and it's going to change anyway. So it might as well just be like, all right, here's the basic idea. Let's write the rest of it together.
That's
Um,
that's a good tactic.
yeah. And then who was, I think, oh man, Rick Rubin, he's been like doing a lot of interviews lately. And what the hell was he saying? Oh, what you said, exactly what you said, is you have to be open minded enough to realize that you might not always have the best idea, but you have to identify what the best idea is and use it for the better of the entire thing and not just because it's your idea. Like, obviously, you're going to push your
Yeah,
ideas hard because they're your
for
ideas, but you
sure.
have to be able to step back and like look at it from a perspective of like this is the sound or the collaboration we're going for, and it's better for the entirety of the thing than just getting your idea in there. So that
Yeah,
just reminded me of it when you said
I'm
that.
happy you said that actually too. I'm reading his book right now.
Oh,
I
cool.
actually have it right here.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
it really insightful thing. The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. If you're a creative writer or any kind of person, get that book. It's definitely helpful. Every time I pick it up, I learn something new.
Yeah, like I think he gets a little bit of like some people really like him, some
Hmm.
people don't. They feel like, oh, what's he really do?
Hmm.
But it, as a producer too, sometimes you're very involved in the music. Sometimes you're like a psychologist for the musician because
I
that's what
feel
they
like
need,
he's
right?
that, and he's like Kanye West said he's not a producer, he's the reducer, which
Ah,
I really liked.
I
I was like,
love that.
that's a good way to describe him, honestly.
Yeah, that's great too. I always love. I'm so glad you said that because I tend to be a little bit more minimalist. Like I don't. I do want to hear what things sound like and all that stuff, but really at the end of the day, I want to pull as much out as you can without losing the core of it and just make it as effective and simple as possible. And some people do struggle with that too, I think, where they just like, oh, this sounds cool and this sounds cool. And
Hmm.
the more you put in, they think the better it sounds. And really, it's like you have to leave a little bit of space in there, especially like too, like what you're talking about, like when you're rapping, like you can't just fill up the entire bar with syllables.
Mm-mm.
You literally run out of breath.
Yeah,
You have to like find those spots for to keep things moving.
for sure.
And there's like a push pull that you have to try to bring out. That that's where like that funk and swing come into. It's like it's not only what you play or what you sing or rap. It's also what you don't and what you take out. That's really important.
For sure.
All right. So you also do music videos. How did that come about, and what are there similarities when you're producing videos to music, or are they completely different? Like how'd that come about?
I actually started on film before I ever made music. That was one of the things I ever I skateboard.
Oh, nice.
Well, yeah.
Oh, cool.
So when I started, like, I would just kind of mess around with my dad's camera and like just with anything that I would do. But skateboarding was the one thing where I was kind of like, okay, like I kind of just would just mess. It wouldn't be anything good or cool. It was just
Yeah.
like I like skate videos. A lot of the culture actually had a lot of hip hop introductions and artists to me
Yes.
when you watch that.
Yeah.
But I just messed around with cameras really and like high eights, and I learned how to rip the high eights in my laptop and like edit it like that.
Yeah.
And then when they became digital, it became so much easier.
Oh yeah.
So it was kind of like just a little broken like thing that I knew, like kind of one of those things I kind of knew stuff about. And then when I
Yeah.
made music and then it started to chug, I was like, oh my goodness, I could make something for like visual too. I know how to do that.
Yeah.
I could do something like that. So that's how that started. And then as it went on, like, you know, just appreciating film, watching movies, like just kind of getting ideas,
Yeah.
inspiration, and like writing like I don't want to say a script, but like a screenplay of like each scene that you want. And that's another cool thing when you make the song and then you make like the movie behind it too. It's like, oh my goodness, you pretty much like just exploited a whole idea out of your brain. Like you just like that's me. That's what I thought right there. That's it.
Yeah.
It's it's a really cool experience. Like yeah, I see why some artists get into it more as they really go into like their careers. You always see like an artist do like a music video directing thing. I get why, because it's really insane to see like you can just share what you thought.
When
It's
yeah, once you have that vision, it's not a hard leap to go into like the visual
hmm
medium for sure.
oh it's
I feel like the skate scene is actually pretty decent around here. Would you?
oh yeah, dude. There's
Yeah.
rippers, man.
Yeah.
It's sick. I love it. And home base, they're so cool, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, we have like a whole thing. Like, there's like a people know about it too. That's what makes it even cooler. Like the
Mhm.
Bethlehem Skate Plaza is not a joke. People know about what's going on.
Yeah, and that was something. Yeah, that was when that went in. That was a big deal.
Oh yeah,
Do you, and then Lost Soul Skateboards. I don't know if you know them, but they
yeah.
are. Yeah,
Jeremy Schreiber, I know him.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's been a cool thing. We had a couple skaters on here, and it's always interesting. Like kind of similar too. It's like you're creating something on the fly and trying to capture a moment. It's very
hmm
similar. Yeah, the creative process there as well.
Yeah, for the I'd say when you skate and you're getting a trick down, it's very similar to when you're getting a track down. Because there's some days you have it, and there are some days you certainly do fucking not have it at all. That's one thing I could compare that to, and the rhythm and the flow. That's why, like, I feel like hip hop is very predominant in skate and the videos. Like, it just it just flows effortlessly and naturally.
Very
Sometimes
cool.
you don't even know how, but it does.
Yeah. It's just the practice of getting out there and doing it and
hmm
seeing what happens. So yeah, that's the most important thing. You just got to get it out, put it out there, and things will happen. You just have to trust it in the process for sure.
hmm
All
Believe
right.
in
Well,
yourself.
yes, that's a huge one. Yeah. That brings us right back to the beginning too, and have people who surround yourself with people who believe in you too.
hmm
All right. Well, that takes us to about an hour. You just want to plug everything one more time for everyone, and yeah, we can wrap it up.
Allentown Brewworks, baby. We got a set of shows. Yeah, yeah. Obscurity610, first solo show, November 21st. Allentown Brewworks, come through, hang out with me for an hour or two, and then I'm gonna go for an hour or two. I'm gonna try and do like every fucking song I have, pretty much, something like that, till I run out of breath. Till you gotta call the gurney to scrape me off the floor. March 22nd, March 23rd, 610 Fest. You wanna play? Hit my DMs, give me a follow. And then look out for new music. Just go stream my music, Obscurity610, anywhere you stream music. I love you. Thank you, Mike, for having me on here. I really
Yeah, man.
appreciate you.
This is a lot of fun. So I appreciate your energy, and you've been like high energy the entire time. You jumped on Nick's live stream, and yeah, we just kind of
Yeah,
connected that way. So yeah,
yeah.
thank you so much for coming on.
I never been interviewed before, so hey, you got the
Oh,
first
cool.
one.
All
So
right.
hey, you post this on YouTube. This could have
We
some millions of views one day, man.
I definitely will, and I'll share it with you too, so you can post it wherever you
For
want.
sure, for sure.
All right, Dom.
All right, man.
Have a great night, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Later.